Hello, I'd like to talk to you about something that's coming up tomorrow, and that is Pesach Sheini. Of course, you can be listening to this anytime, so it doesn't have to be tomorrow. It can be today or yesterday or a year from now or 6 months from now. The idea of Pesach Sheini is one of the most important ideas that exists in the human condition. It is taken from chapter 9 of Sefer Bamidbar, Parshas Baloscha, in case you're interested. And in Parshas Baloscha, Perek Tes, chapter 9, Pasuk Hey, verse 5, the Torah says as follows: V'yasu es ha-Pesach barishon bar-ba'asar yom lachodesh bein arbaim b'midbar Sinai, k'chol asher tziva Hashem es Moshe ken asu b'nei Yisrael. On the day of Pesach, the 14th day of the first month, in the Jews' second year in the desert, the Jewish people had celebrated Pesach. Remember, this is literally the second Pesach of the entire Jewish history, which, if you think about it for a moment, is really the first commemorative Pesach. What I mean by that is that the first Pesach was spent in the desert. They weren't commemorating anything. They were actually living it. So now that we come to the second year in the desert, the Jewish people are actually now having the commemoration of Pesach for the first time. I'd like to talk to you about. Then the pasuk says as follows: Vahi anashim asher hayu tmeim lenefesh adam. There were people who had become tameh, impure, which would not allow them entrance into the Mishkan, or even to be allowed to bring any carbon, any sacrifice in the Mishkan, including the carbon Pesach. So the pasuk says as follows: V'lo yochlu lasos ha-Pesach b'yom hahu. They could not bring the carbon Pesach on that day. V'yikruvu lifnei Moshe v'lifnei Aaron b'yom hahu. So they approached Moshe and Aaron on that day, meaning they wanted to bring the carbon Pesach. V'yomru ha'anashim ha'heima elav. These men who could not bring the carbon Pesach told Moshe and Aaron, Anachnu tmeim lenefesh adam, lama nigora levilti hikrives karban Hashem b'moado. Why should we lose out by not being able to bring this carbon in its correct time? Besoch b'nei Yisrael, amongst all the other Jews. Vayomer alehem Moshe imdu ve'eshme'ah ma yitzaveh Hashem lachem. Moshe says, wait here while I consult Hashem and ask him what to do. Vadaber Hashem el Moshe leimor. So Hashem told Moshe, Daber el b'nei Yisrael leimor. This is what you should tell the Jews. Ish ish ki yeh tamei lenefesh o b'derech rechoka. Here Hashem adds something. He says, anyone who is tamei, meaning ritually impure, cannot come to the temple, or is at a distance, is far away from the temple. Lachem alo l'dorosechem, meaning in future generations, and especially in Yerushalayim, you could have someone who's miles and miles away. Vasa Pesach Lashem, B'chodesh Hasheni, they can bring the carbon Pesach in the second month. Barba Asar Yom Bein Harbayim, but the 14th day of the second month, which we call today the 14th of Iyar. Yasu Oso al Matzos Umrorim Yochluhu. They can eat it with matzah and with maror. This will not be Chag Hamatzos. It will be the Pesach, the Yom, a Pesach observance, but they eat the Korban Pesach with matzah and maror. And then the psukim go on to describe the details that are very similar to the details that existed with the carbon Pesach. This idea is so important. Why is it important? Because everybody deserves a second chance. Now you might say, well, not everybody gets a second chance in life, but the truth is we do get a second chance in life all the time. That's called waking up in the morning. Person goes through life and has various difficulties, and the difficulties can be considerable. And yet, if you are so fortunate as to be able to go to sleep and wake up the next morning, then you are given that second chance. Now you might say, well, that's very nice about the carbon Pesach, but who says that applies to any other part of my life? Well, the carbon Pesach is first of all, the prototype for everything else. Because it wasn't just about a mitzvah. Korban Pesach, the mitzvah of Pesach, which incurs the penalty of kares if a person would not bring the paschal lamb, if he could otherwise do it, is the ultimate sign of the connection that we have with Hashem. So they felt we don't have a connection. Yes, there are other mitzvahs, but we don't have that connection. So the fact is, there is this concept of a second chance with everything. When you wake up in the morning, there's a second chance. And what if you'll ask me, well, Shavuos doesn't get a second chance. Where's my Shavuos Sheini? I will tell you there is a Shavuos Sheini. What is it called? It's called Yom Kippur. And you might say, well, where is there a Sukkos Sheini? If I missed Sukkos, do I get a second chance to do Sukkos as well? I will tell you, yes. Sukkos Sheini, your opportunity to connect to Hashem in the way that we connect on Sukkos, is called Chanukah. And what about Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur? Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur are already the idea of a second chance, that you can start over. So everything in Yiddishkeit, every element of Torah and mitzvos has within it built in this idea that is first introduced to us with Pesach Sheini. So whatever difficulty exists on one day can be made up on another day. That is the wonderful opportunity that nothing is ever lost that exists with Pesach Sheini. And it exists when, if a person accidentally forgot to daven Shachris or something happened, they can daven Mincha twice. The first Mincha counts as Mincha, and then they can say the Shemona Esrei again, and it counts for Shachris, something that did not exist properly understood in the Beis HaMikdash itself. But when it comes to our connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we always need to appreciate that idea of a second chance. Tomorrow, I hope you all take advantage of that. Some people have a minhag of eating a piece of matzah on the 14th of Iyar. It is a fairly recent minhag. It is not a halacha, but it's easy enough to do if you're eating anyway on the 14th of Iyar. Why not throw in a piece of matzah to connect us to this day? Besides for the fact that in shul, in davening, we don't say tachanun, another little bonus that some people would call, especially on a Monday morning. Anything that we can do to show that the story is not over, that we always have another opportunity. Whether the lost opportunity was our fault or not our fault doesn't matter. We always have that other opportunity to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu.